So we have all these rules in place for revenue sharing and name, image, and likeness. What could go wrong? Well, former Ohio State football coach and Fox College football analyst Urban Meyer, he doesn't trust anyone. He's very skeptical of the whole operation. Should he be? Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below while you're watching, share, follow, and like so you don't miss a single episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So, count Urban Meyer as skeptical on revenue sharing. UCLA off to a good start in the College Baseball World Series. Recruiting wins and losses, all teams battling for each other, with each other. We have our top 10 observations for the weekend, and it will include the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Final, and the U.S. Open. Ties the Big Ten together. Stay tuned at the end for that. But according to former Ohio State football coach Urban Meyer, of course now Fox College football analyst, the brand new House versus NCAA settlement, which as of last week allows athletic departments to directly pay players through revenue sharing, he says it isn't going to work. It's not going to work. We got a big mess on our hands. Each Power 5 school, of course, is going to have to pony up about $20.5 million beginning this season in revenue sharing. But Urban Meyer says, quote, "You're damn right I'm skeptical of revenue sharing," unquote. Pretty strong statement by Herbs. In fact, Herbs said that he's not against players making bank. What he wants, there's got to be a real authority involved here, a true system with structure, with teeth to it. And unless that's in place, he's not buying it. He doesn't trust it. And he doesn't seem to trust the athletic departments to follow the rules. Oh, why would that be? He seems to think that schools will find a way to cheat the system and cheat in college football, just like always. Urban Meyer does know, right, that the House settlement includes the creation of a new regulatory board called the College Sports Commission, right? That's supposed to do these things that he wants. It's their job, literally, to make sure that everybody complies with the new revenue sharing and name, image, and likeness rules, right? He does realize that the feckless NCAA is no longer in charge of this stuff, right? Maybe he wants an even higher power in charge of all this. Urban wants us to go further. He said the only way that revenue sharing works is with real power, like subpoena power. So he says if you lie under oath, your career is over. No more coaching, no more playing. You lie to the big boys, you're out. Now, I guess Urban wants Congress to get involved now. And you know what? They may be involved in all this at some point. If you're talking subpoenas. You know, several weeks ago, I'll remind you, because we talked about it here on Locked On Big Ten, Urban said something very similar on his podcast when he suggested that if you lie to the NCAA, you should be banned. Now, this is for lying to the NCAA. Now, with subpoena power and all that, if you lie, you should be banned. So he's consistent there. He doesn't like you lying to the higher-ups that control college football just because the higher-ups are changing. Still can't lie to them. He wants you out of the sport. Many, including me, we took that to mean that Urban was taking a shot at Jim Harbaugh when he said, hey, if you lie to the NCAA, you should be banned forever. Remember? All that was going on, and Urban made that comment. Yeah, we pointed out, yeah, he's saying Jim Harbaugh lied to the NCAA and he should never be back. That's what that was really all about. So we discussed that at length in that particular podcast, but a lot of people may feel like maybe we're quick to point out that Urban is the wrong person to call out others for lying. We kind of made that point too. He's lied. Urban lies. He has. We've caught him. He shouldn't be making all these rules about other people lying. He's not that what he says is wrong. He's just the wrong guy to deliver that message. We all recall Urban lying. Urban hasn't lied to the NCAA that we know of, or Congress for that matter, but he did lie to everybody in the media when he said that he never knew of any domestic abuse allegations against his assistant, Zach Smith. In fact, Urban doubled down, said that he knew that if he had known at the time, he would have fired Smith. Well, he did know, and he didn't fire him. Because we later learned that Urban and his wife, Shelley, were elbow deep involved with Zach Smith and his accusing wife, Courtney, during that whole turmoil. We nailed him lying flat out to everybody. Later, Urban said that he didn't say that he lied. He admitted to misstating his lack of knowledge of a situation. I call that a lie, by the way. And he was ultimately suspended for his handling of the entire situation there at Ohio State. I don't want to keep besmirching Urban Meyer. It's not really what this podcast is about today. But, I mean, come on. Twice now he's called for people getting banned from coaching for lying when he got caught in a huge lie on his own back in the day. In my opinion, having covered college football for decades, Urban Meyer at Florida or at Ohio State or even Jacksonville in the NFL never really came across as being the most truthful of guys in sports. Never was. Now, there may be some revenue sharing problems for schools that I want to get into here. I'm done talking about Urban Meyer. Let's get into today now but I will stay at Ohio State. Athletic director Ross Bjork, he announced to the media how he's going to divide up the revenue share, the $20.5 million at Ohio State. $18 million of it is going to go to athletes on 4 teams. Football, obviously, men's and women's basketball, and women's volleyball. Okay. The Buckeyes are also adding 91 scholarships across all sports worth $2.5 million. And we know that a larger portion of that $18 million is going straight to football. So they're going to get the big chunk of it, which leads to a possible Title IX problem. Men's and women's sports under Title IX, federal law, must be treated as equals financially, even if their respective incomes or their ability to produce revenue is not equal. Now, I'm not picking on Ohio State here. We're just using them as an example because Ross Bjork spelled this out. I'll tell you a little bit later in the podcast about a Big Ten school that I won't let anybody know what they're doing, even though it's going to be public record. I'll get into that in a moment. Wisconsin. But everybody's in the same boat with these potential lawsuits and appeals to the House settlement. They've already begun. In fact, because of the suits, payments to prior players, remember, this was going to pay not only present players, but players from the past going back to 2016. The past players, those payments have already been halted. Since we just settled this House settlement a week ago, we've already got an appeal. Payments to former athletes have been halted. Current players will get paid beginning July 1st. So that part is still part of it. But it's going to be a lot of appeals. It's going to be, you got to get used to this. There's a lot of stuff going on with lawsuits, appeals, stays, delays, and all over the next couple of years as details of this House settlement really still need to be ironed out. I'll tell you, we have never been so eager for actual football on the field to take place. And we're kind of tired of talking about this legal stuff, but we have to. It is interesting in and of itself, but we're ready for football season to start. The Buckeyes open up the season taking on Texas on August 30th, by the way. Hey, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. You'll never miss a single episode. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. That's with the number 10. All of our podcasts go there. Plus, you can get Big Ten merchandise, Ohio State shirts, T-shirts, hats, Michigan, whoever you follow. Get it right there at the on our website, talkbig10.com, with all of our podcasts. So, speaking of the Longhorns and the Buckeyes getting after it on August 30th, Ross Bjork has some interesting. Ross has been talking. Ross has some interesting comments about that game. Remember, some people, they want some night games in Columbus. That's what this basically comes down to. We're going to dive into that a little bit more. A lot of recruiting wins and losses and Big Ten teams just slugging it out on the recruiting trail. Plus, we have our top 10 Big Ten observations. All that coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Game time is the best way to get you to a game, a big event, or theater, comedy show, whatever, anything that needs tickets. Game Time is the app that you need. But let's talk about the NBA finals that are going on. That's been intense. Big swings, big sways. You could be there in the seats watching it live. All this stuff. Prices on the Game Time app for tickets actually go down the closer you get to tip off. They got killer last minute deals, panoramic seat views, no surprise fees. Game Time is a total game changer. Just get the app. You got their zone deals that are offering 10% off exclusive zone deals for FIFA Club World Club matchups. Get some soccer. I love that you can see the view of the seat of the ticket you're about to buy right there on your phone. It's got this app. It is extremely easy and simple to use. 2 taps and you got your tickets and you're off to your event. And with the Game Time guarantee, you're getting the best deal. If you find a better price in the same row or section, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. Right there, 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account and the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that subscribe button for free. We're making a push to 20,000 subscribers before football season. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget our website, talkbig10.com, for podcasts and merchandise. Look, it's no secret, since we're talking about Ohio State, it's no secret that Ohio State fans are clamoring for some regular season home games at night under the lights in prime time. They're just not getting them. And in fact, their season opener against Texas, the biggest game on the schedule, going to kick off August 30th. It's going to be at noon on Fox. It's all part of the big noon $7 billion TV deal that the Big Ten has. Look, it's a lucrative Big Ten TV contract. Everybody likes the money. The deal gives Fox, the Fox network, scheduling preference for its big noon kickoff. They've carved out a nice niche for themselves there. Naturally, Fox wants the best matchups for that noon slot to get big ratings. And Ohio State, marquee school, right there. Do you know that Ohio State, though, you're talking about not spreading it around a little bit. Ohio State had 7 noon kickoffs last season. That's a lot. That's a lot. So the athletic director, Bjork, he says, look, man, we've carried the day for big noon. All right, it's cool and everything, but, we like a little flexibility here. And he understands the Buckeyes are a hot item with the TV executives. He just wants some flexibility. Maybe an occasional night game in Columbus would be cool. He says his fans deserve some of that marquee nighttime action. And he's right. Ohio State even floated a proposal to move that season opener on Saturday at noon against Texas to Sunday as a standalone primetime game on Fox. But Texas refused to budge. Their athletic director, he said he didn't want to put his Longhorns at a disadvantage with a shorter work week for week 2 to take on their week 2 opponent, which, by the way, happens to be San Jose State. I mean, they could start prepping on Friday and beat San Jose State. That's ridiculous. Meanwhile, we closed our opening segment earlier, talking about Ohio State and how they're going to allocate their $20.5 million of revenue sharing. Bjork was an open book, spelled it all out for the media and the fans. Everybody knows what's going where. Then there's the Wisconsin athletic director, Chris McIntosh, who has 23 varsity sports to fund. And he met with the media, but he refused to give up any details on how he is going to disperse the money at Wisconsin. He feels doing so would put Wisconsin at a competitive disadvantage. Now, 2 quick thoughts by me. How would giving that info be a competitive disadvantage? I don't know. I can't come up with a good reason. Secondly, Wisconsin is a public state university. They're subject to the state's open record laws, meaning they're going to have to tell everybody how they're distributing this money anyway. All their financial statements get released. This is ridiculous. The only hazard, I only guess I can hazard out of this whole deal, maybe his reasoning stems from corner Xavier Lucas. Remember, he had that lawsuit last winter where he wanted to transfer from Wisconsin to Miami, despite signing one of the first in the nation multi-year revenue sharing contracts. It was actually a memorandum of understanding that if revenue sharing became a thing, this was your 2-year deal. It was one of the first in the country like it. But then he decided he wanted to skirt the whole system and just leave and go to Miami instead. That's where he wanted to be. But Wisconsin said, well, you got this 2-year deal, this memorandum of understanding. His lawyer says, well, it's just a memorandum of understanding. Revenue sharing hasn't been put in place yet. Of course, it just was a week ago. And then he got out of the loophole of the transfer portal by just dropping out of school. In between semesters, just dropped out of school, Wisconsin, and then ended up in Miami, also skirting the transfer portal. Maybe their athletic director feels like he didn't want to give any kind of information out to the public that he doesn't have to at this point to avoid stuff like this, or maybe it's related to stuff like, I don't know. I'm trying to be open-minded here. I can't come up with a reason. Meanwhile, a lot of great recruiting wars going on between Big Ten schools. 4-star linebacker Talanoa Ili. He has committed to USC over UCLA. He's from Orange, California, and he took visits to USC and UCLA. He's 6'4", 215 pounds, and after he took his visits to the two Southern Cal, it looks like he really wanted to stay home. He canceled on Notre Dame, BYU, Oklahoma, and Texas. Just canceled the visits, and then announced that he's going to USC to be part of that top-ranked recruiting class. Meanwhile, Oregon has landed another big-time wide receiver recruit. This is nice. Messiah Hampton. He's from Rochester, New York, so he's going all the way across the country to play in Oregon. Committing to Dan Lanning and the Ducks. He was looking at Penn State, Miami, Syracuse, all in the mix, but nope, going to the Ducks. It's a 6'1" wide receiver. Says he just loved the staff out there at Oregon. And he becomes the 8th member of the class of 2026 for the Ducks. And over the last 2 seasons in high school, he's made 90 catches, 1,366 yards, and 21 touchdowns in 20 games. I like that. That's the stat that I like the best. 21 touchdowns in 20 games. Got a lot of people's attention. Have you noticed Michigan State is on a roll? Second-year head coach Jonathan Smith, he landed 4-star offensive lineman and a 3-star offensive lineman last week. 3-star Quinn Buckey from Bakersfield, California. He committed to Michigan State over in-state UCLA. Vanderbilt was actually thought to be the leader for him. Also Arizona in the mix. He was going to Michigan State, and this comes on the heels of Michigan State getting commitment from Colin Campbell, a 4-star offensive lineman. He's huge. He's 6'7", 280. Still going to fill into that frame. He's got a 6'10" wingspan. Frankly, kind of looks like a basketball player. He's from Arizona, and Nebraska was in on him. Minnesota, Purdue, Washington, UCLA, Texas A&M, Utah, BYU, Arizona, and Arkansas were all driving hard to the hoop to try and get this guy. He is the highest ranked Spartans commit in this class. So good get. Good couple of offensive linemen there for Jonathan Smith at Michigan State. Hey, speaking of public records earlier, let's apply that to Michigan State and the new athletic director, Jay Blatt. His deal will be 6 years, $12.6 million. And it will begin with a $1.85 million salary, base salary. It'll increase $100,000 a year. This salary is double what they were paying their predecessor, Alan Haller, who made about $900K a year. Michigan State is also paying $2 million toward Batt's buyout at Georgia Tech from where he came. Brett Bielema, let's always keep an eye on him. He's always got some interesting stuff going. He's working on locking down a top 20 recruiting class for 2026. Done a really nice job. We're keeping an eye on 6-foot safety Isaiah Williams from Texas. He's a 3-star, and he just made an official visit here at Illinois. He got 34 scholarship offers. including Ohio State, by the way, LSU, and his hometown, Texas. But all of a sudden, it seems like Brett Bielema is in the mix for this guy. So we'll see. Here's a quirky one. 4-star edge rusher, Alhassan Idrisu. He is out of Connecticut. He was heavily recruited by Michigan and USC and also Texas A&M. He decided to go to Central Florida. Well, you got Michigan and USC and A&M after you go to Central Michigan, Central Florida. Look, nothing wrong with Central Florida. Usually those schools don't compete with each other for the same players. UCLA, we mentioned the number 1 recruiting class in the country. The Wolverines, been red hot lately. They got 2 4-star defensive linemen in Mikhail Blade and Alistair Vallejo. Both picked the Wolverines over Notre Dame this past week. We talked about it last week on our podcast. Maybe Idrisu thought there's too much competition at Michigan and USC with other players. Maybe he loves Disney, wants to go to Orlando. I don't know. Meanwhile, let's get you caught up with the College World Series over the weekend. UCLA, the Bruins, they beat Murray State 6-4 on Saturday in the double elimination round. 6 Bruins pitchers. By the way, Bruins pitchers have been red hot in the postseason. And they combined for 8 strikeouts in that game. The Bruins will face one of the favorites tonight, Monday night, when they take on LSU. The game's at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. It's on ESPN. All right, coming out of the weekend, we always like our top 10 Big Ten observations. And I'm going to tie it all together with the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Final, the U.S. Open, the Big Ten. Stay tuned. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. Time now for our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. If you're audio only, I'm going to put this on screen and we can check this out, and I'll explain what we got going on here with our top 10. So, first of all, I want to mention Illinois alum Jackson Buchanan. Who's Jackson Buchanan? Well, he's a golfer, and he was in the U.S. Open. He did not make the cut out there at Oakmont. They said that's the toughest course in America. Got a highway going right through the middle of it. Had to deal with rain delays on Sunday. Also, Illinois' Brian Campbell out there as well, making the U.S. Open. 2 Illinois, but they're not the only 2, because Thomas Dietrich, he not only made it, he made the cut. And when the rain delay was out, he was trying to crack. He was cracking the top 25 at 8 over. I think he was a stroke behind Rory McIlroy, the Masters winner. So Illinois golf getting a lot of attention here this weekend. That's pretty impressive. All right, let's see what else we got here. And I want to mention Wisconsin alum Trent Frederick. Edmonton Oilers, Stanley Cup. I'm going to mention all of them. We got some Big Ten alum in the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final as well. And you got Frederick Oilers, or you got Trent Frederick for the Oilers, trying to get his name etched on the Stanley Cup, as is Minnesota alum Nate Schmidt. He's with the Florida Panthers. That's been a phenomenal series. If you have missed out on that, you've missed out on a lot. It's not too late to jump in. Great storylines, great ebb and flow from game to game, different storylines. It's been fantastic. It's been a lot of fun to watch. All right, let's see here. Let's go to the NBA Finals. Indiana alum Thomas Bryant is on the Pacers roster. Doesn't get used too often, but he's there. He's in the Big Ten, so we gave him a shout out. Same with Maryland, Aaron Wiggins. Now, Aaron Wiggins will play a little bit for the Thunder. So we got a couple Big Ten alum to watch in the NBA Finals as well. What else we have here? Iowa alum. It's like alumni weekend here. Caitlin Clark back from injury for the Indiana Fever. 32 points in her return for the Fever. Gave the Liberty their first loss, and she was dropping long distance 3-pointers like she always does, like she'd never been gone. I like this segment here today. All these alum We got 8 alum that we're featuring here. Alumni weekend. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, this is more current day. All right. We'll put UCLA baseball in the number 2 spot. It's the College World Series, winning game 1. Good luck to them tonight against LSU. We'll see how that goes. And then the last one I put on here, all you fathers out there coming off of Father's Day weekend, getting back into the grind. I hope you all had a wonderful Father's Day weekend. So I know I did as well. So, but I wanted to give all the fathers out there a mention here in our top 10 Big Ten observations coming off the weekend. All right, so that's how this works. If you are new to our podcast, we always close out with a feature like that. Mondays, we do top 10 Big Ten observations. Tuesdays, tomorrow, Tuesday tweets. Hit us up on Twitter and our X at Talk Big Ten with the number 10. And I'll pull something. I've already started pulling some together as well. And some of them are from you guys. So always love that. Tuesday tweets. Wednesdays, we like to power rank stuff. I think we're getting close enough this season where we can start power ranking some positions around the Big Ten. That's always fun. Sometimes controversial, but it's always fun. Thursdays, we look ahead to the Big Ten Network and what they have scheduled, and we highlight Big Ten classics and live action. We always love doing that. And on Fridays, we do some sort of picks. We'll be doing pigskin picks before you know it. So always something to look forward to with features like that around here. There are a lot of things we are going to be keeping an eye on around, with recruiting and these battles going on. What I like about this is not only our Big Ten schools, battling the big boys in the SEC or whatever, they're going against each other. This guy, the USC is getting somebody that Oregon thought they had, and Vice Michigan and Ohio State. It's great. It's a lot of great storylines out there, and we're going to keep an eye on all of them right here, as well as the College World Series and some more football stories we want to throw at you as well. Also, this podcast is the most unique Big Ten podcast in the world, really. We have this video version that you're watching on YouTube, or maybe if you listen on audio only, Spotify, for example, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. We do all 18 teams. We do all the news regarding these 18 teams, but we also do analysis of that news and then opinion. We're not afraid to give our opinion. Some people like it, some people don't. You guys give your opinion back in the comment section. Anyway, it's the only podcast like it. News, analysis, and opinion all in one place, all Big Ten right here. So if you're watching us right now, I know you're a Big Ten fan. That means I know you hang around other Big Ten people, family members, whoever, former classmates. Let them know we're out here each and every day, because people are discovering us every day. We're making this push for 20,000 subscribers by the start of football season. We're getting pretty close, and we can do it with your help. We'll always appreciate that. So check us out on Twitter at Talk Big Ten. Don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. Podcasts and merchandise. Before you go, please hit that subscribe button. It's free. You'll never miss an episode. Feel free to go back and catch up on another episode you may have missed last week. Also, I invite you for a second listen to check out our friend Brian Smith from the Portal Show. You're really dying to know everything that's going on with the transfer portal? He's your guy. So check that out. Brian Smith, the Portal Show, on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. That'll do it for us here today. Thank you for checking us out. I already can't wait till we meet again tomorrow for Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you next time.